Okay, I am going to go ahead and get started. My name is Tanikia Polk, and I am the owner, the founder of TP Rewards Publishing, which is a publishing agency, and we offer all three models of publishing. I'm also an author, a community activist, and a book publisher, as I mentioned before, and I'm very happy to be on the line with you today. I really appreciate you taking the time out to connect with us tonight, especially since I know this is a holiday for many of you. So just a little bit about me to get started. A little bit about my background. I am a former teacher through which I've had the privilege of working with children ages pre-K through 12th grade. I did earn the title of Teacher of the Year at Calvary Christian Academy, and I also earned the Associated Christian Schools International Program Design Award. I love teaching, but I decided, what I realized is that I enjoyed creating the curriculum and materials even more. So that's one thing that led me into publishing. Also, I do come from pretty humble beginnings and have always had a desire to encourage those around me by either helping them succeed in their careers, helping them to fulfill whatever their mission that God intended for them, or just their purpose in general. And so by God's grace, I have overcome many personal obstacles, including homelessness. I say that to say that my passion for publishing really does come from a place of need, because in those sort of desperate times in my life, I did turn to books, including the Bible, in the most desperate times of my life. So I really enjoy what I do now, and I enjoy continuing the legacy and helping others continue their legacy. As I mentioned before, I authored and actually self-published my first book, which was Cosmo, I Can Learn Computer Parts as a Teacher. I did this when I couldn't find any resources I needed to teach my students. However, the most recent book that I authored and published is called The PR Connection, How to Get Publicity for Your Book. And this book I wrote to help authors publicize their works and to create a platform within their communities, because I do get a lot of questions from self-published authors kind of wanting to know the next step after they've published their book. So, again, I am very happy to have you join me on the call, and this call is in response to some questions that I've been getting concerning the difference between the publishing model. So we're going to address that on this call today. And, perhaps like me, you've always had a desire to inspire and educate your community, or like me, you may have been looking for a meaningful way to enhance your career and cash flow. And so I know that God has graced you with gifts, talents, experiences, and expertise that will help someone else along the way. And all of this is leading to your book. So, there's a number of reasons why people publish books. Maybe you've gone through the school of the hard knocks in some area of your life, and you want to help someone else overcome the hurdles you've climbed. Or maybe you just, bursting with creativity and insight to inspire others. So in all of this, you just need a way to capture it. One way is speaking, of course. Another way is a book. And I really enjoy books because books really are forever, something firm that we can hold on to for generations. And so this can be your gift to the world. Or it can also be a very powerful business card for you. A lot of people do publish books for business purposes to enhance their careers. And I personally see it as both. Okay. And so our TP Rewards Publishing Institute is designed to do just that for you, to publish your book that will help you accomplish your goals, whatever your goals may be. And so that's why we've decided to offer all three models of publishing, because we understand that people publish books for different reasons and are at different phases in their lives. So as a publisher, I have been blessed to help community leaders publish their books and achieve their goals. And we'll talk about it a little more. But TP Rewards is so much more than your run-of-the-mill publishing company. So now we're going to discuss some specifics of the publishing models. But before we do, I'd just like to answer a question. I know most of you are probably thinking, and that question is whether or not now is the right time for you to publish your book. And I'll tell you, in most instances, the answer is yes. One reason being, if you decide to, the TP Rewards will be a good partner for you, you do not have to have your manuscript done to start with TP Rewards. So let me say that again, you do not have to have your book completely written to start with TP Rewards. As a matter of fact, in most cases, it's best to come aboard before you've completed your manuscript, because when you do that, we can help you do some research and publish a marketable book. Again, it depends on your goal in publishing your book, but our goal is always to publish a marketable book, one that we believe and we know that we can help you to sell, okay? And so I'm not aware of any other publishing company that offers the customized book coaching that we offer here at TP Rewards at the multiple levels that we do so. So we'll put you on the schedule, and we will publish your book, all the while allowing you the ability to maintain the copyright to your work. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that differentiates TP Rewards from other publishing companies is what I just mentioned. We have the flexibility that it will allow you to maintain the rights to your work while still offering you some of the traditional publishing services. Okay, so just about all of our authors that have signed publishing agreements with TP Rewards came aboard before they completed their manuscript. However, even with the few that did have their manuscripts complete before they came aboard, we did have to make some extensive changes to their manuscript before we published it. So I just want to give you a couple of examples of the types of authors that we've worked with, and so you can get a feel for, where just the different levels that writers or authors, aspiring authors, come to us at. And I believe we're going to have one TP Rewards author, on the line shortly to kind of share with you her experience. Another example of an author is Mr. Mackey. Mr. Mackey was one of our first authors, and his book actually sat with a self-publishing company for 5 years with no progress before he came to TP Rewards. So when you compare TP Rewards with just the self-publishing is just that, self-publishing, so you have to be a really motivated person and have a complete product. And so his needed some refining, and so it just sat with the publishing company, the self-publishing company, for about 5 years with no progress. When he contacted TP Rewards, we were able to get him on a schedule and put the structure in place that allowed him to not published the one book, but actually he ended up publishing 2 books with us in the same year. And so also what's unique about Mr. Mackey is his marketing plan for the book. TP Rewards was flexible enough to work with him to alter his cover and content when needed. That's something that other, publishing companies may not be able to offer, at least not without additional fees. And so to fit his marketing model, we're able to adjust, and he's still making changes, continual changes. And those of you who will be attending the online publishing class will hear more about Mr. Mackey on his outstanding marketing model for his book that actually TP Rewards has adopted. And so another example is our author. His name is Devin, and Devin is an exceptionally creative and talented author, and he came to us with a completed manuscript. However, upon reviewing the manuscript, our editors picked up on materials that may have made his book less marketable in the community outlets that we work with. And so we worked with Devin to massage his book and to create a youth incentive program to accompany his book. And so just let me go back and say something about TP Rewards. All of our books are published to promote education and inspiration within the community. We are a Christian-based publishing company, but it's more of a grassroots initiative on the parts of our staff and our authors to fill knowledge gaps within the community. And now those knowledge gaps could be on, anything. We have financial literacy books, we have math, we have, books on abuse. We also have, books on a Christian perspective, providing inspiration. But it's definitely a grassroots initiative. These authors believe in paying it forward to the community, but also they believe in profiting from their book as well, and so do we. So the last example I like to share with you is that of Dr. Lisa Ramirez. Dr. Lisa Ramirez, she actually won, her book, Dulcified, actually won the International Latino Literacy Award last year, which was a huge deal. And Lisa is a director at the Department of Education, and she was just looking for the right publishing partner for her book. She had many options, but she chose TP Rewards because of the educational and Christian focus. And so we've worked with Lisa to publish her book in both English and Spanish. And also since her recent award, her book has received some attention from book buyers that other publishing companies aren't really able to handle. And this is when I get a little technical about distribution, which is not something that a lot of authors think about going into publishing, but it is important. If you're self-publishing, I think you're going to come across this eventually, so I'll just go ahead and mention it. And that's just that TP Rewards does have direct distribution with Baker and Taylor and Follett, which has been crucial in Lisa's case, since her books are in brick-and-mortar bookstores, such as Barnes & Noble, and as well as places like the Book Espresso Machine. So Baker and Taylor and Follett are 2 of the largest book buyers for schools, colleges, and libraries. And they are very selective, and they've become more selective, actually, as the years have gone by and who they work with, because the market has become more saturated with self-published books. These distributors have become more selective. And so other, publishing companies may not be able to give you this type of access. I know with one self-publishing company that we do work with, which is CreateSpace, they can list your book in catalogs, but bookstore buyers, they want certain discounts, and they also want to know that your books are going to be refundable. and a lot of self-publishing companies do not offer refundable books. And so bookstores do not buy books unless they are refundable. And so just kind of keep that in mind when you are selecting the publishing model that's right for you. Okay. Let's see. I don't think Christy has jumped on the line yet, so I'm just going to keep going and just briefly discuss with you some TP Rewards publishing options that we have coming up, some opportunities. And we are going to we're going to dive deep into the different publishing models. But before we do that, I'm going to just briefly mention some opportunities to join us. And so the first one being the Winter Publishing Institute, which there are two options in the Institute. The first is self-publishing, and the second is subsidy publishing. And actually, I have Christy, who just she texted me, and she's having problems getting in on the conference call. So I'm just going to conference her in. If you guys would just give me one moment, because I really like for you to hear the perspective of a first-time author and their experience. So just give me one moment. I'll add her in.
Okay, thank you.
Christy?
Yes?
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, and I thank you guys for your patience and our technical difficulties. But I really wanted you to hear from Christy. Christy actually has a book that we haven't even released it yet. It's called Are We Home Yet? And it's scheduled for release in January. However, her book is a children's book. And because of the nature of her book, it's actually about a homeless child. And Christy has this whole initiative to teach compassion. She's also a school counselor. And since next week is National Homelessness Awareness Week, we've decided to capitalize from that and to have a fundraiser for her book so that we could actually donate some of these books to homeless shelters and schools and community locations. And so, we're up and started on this book. We started the promotions and the publicity campaign, and the book has not yet been released, and we have some partners working with us. But anyway, I'm going to let Christy share with you guys her experience and why she chose the subsidy publishing over the self-publishing. And just, Christy, if you would just share how your experience has been thus far with TP Rewards.
Sure. I chose to work with TP Rewards for several reasons. One of them because I know Tanikia personally, and so I know that she is the person that when she says that something is going to get done, it's going to get done. So my experience in working with TP Rewards has been nothing but excellent. From the marketing to the website to the illustrator that they have provided for me is just more than I could have ever expected. I mean, they have really done all of the work. All I had to do was write the book, and I know that probably doesn't sound like that. That probably sounded like that would have been the greatest obstacle, but not to me. To me, the greatest obstacle was in okay, I've written the books, and so what do I do? What do I do from here? And so they made it really easy for me, or TP Rewards rather has made it really easy for me, not strenuous at all, or I'm not stressing out about anything. I know that I'm in good hands.
Okay, thank you, Christy. And actually, Christy has, so her press release, it went out this week. It went out this week, and she actually has a publicity training call with us this Friday to prepare her for receiving this publicity. Because there's one thing, and so all of the TP Awards authors are assigned personal publicists to help you with media training, because it's one thing to get an interview. It's another thing to get asked back, okay? And so what we've learned is that we do have to train authors. A lot of the authors are first-time authors. And, you know, they have great messages, but everyone needs help. Everyone can use some improving, myself included. And so, it's a pleasure to work with Christy. And I don't know, Christy, is there anything else any advice or insight you can give? You know, anyone considering working with TP Awards, or just first-time authors in general?
My advice would be, if you have a story that you feel has not been told just yet, or maybe you have written it all out and you're just sitting on it and you are, you know, scared, you're anxious, you're worried, you don't know how well it's going to do, I just put it into the hands of TP Rewards, and they will take it and they will run with it. If it is a message that they truly believe in and that it's a message that the public needs to hear, you will be in good hands.
Thank you, Christy. Look, I'm most appreciative. Thank you for the compliments. And that is something, you know, that we do need to discuss, or I'd like to stress, is that TP Awards, we have, like I said, we have 3 different publishing models. The most popular, and the one that Christy came in under, is the subsidy publishing model. And that is for the most part, a hands-free, hands-off type model. We do work with the author just mainly to make sure that we are conveying the message that they intended, but we do all the work. And so that's the biggest difference, I think, between the subsidy publishing model and the self-publishing model, is, number one, you know, we're aware of what needs to be done to promote the book. And number 2, you know, it's not something that the author has to do on their own. We actually will do it for you, and do everything we can to prep you for you know, everything that you have to go through. We even actually write speeches for our authors, and we develop workshops for our authors. Because, you know, TP actually it stands for Tanika Polk, which is my name, so I take it very personally. You know, the books that we select, we are selective, and we have turned down some manuscripts. But I think in the email I did mention, or I should have mentioned, that even if we turn down a manuscript, we, in most cases, can help you to self-publish or go another route with another company. And any time that we turn down a manuscript, it's just because it's not our niche market. It's not something that we think that we can market effectively. I've learned that we can't be all things to all people, and so this is our sweet spot: education and inspiration in the community, because we have a lot of experience with nonprofits and you know, educators and colleges and, you know, things like that. So that's where we reside. Okay. So thank you, Christy. If you don't mind, can you stay on a little longer in case anyone has questions for you after the presentation?
I can.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so I was just sharing with them some publishing opportunities through TP Rewards, and as I mentioned, the Winter Publishing Institute, it has two different publishing opportunities, the first being the self-publishing, and that's when if you provide us with your completed manuscript by January 7th, we will publish the book in your byline using CreateSpace. So that's through a different company. And we'll design your front and back covers for you. We'll format your book for you, and we'll have it published by April 7th if you submit it to us by January 7th. And so that's if you just want someone to take over pretty much seeing the production part of the publishing. It doesn't include any other promotions or marketing, but you will be guaranteed to have a book in your hand by April 7th. And so that opportunity is all for just one payment of $9.97 or three payments of $3.49. Okay, and that's an excellent deal because CreateSpace actually will charge up to $1,049 just to design your cover. And I don't know if any of you've had a chance to look at the TP Rewards website, but our covers are all customized and they're pretty awesome. Okay. All right, we have a good graphic designer, and it stands out. A lot of times you can tell a self-published book just by the cover. Not so with us. Okay. And so the second option is the one, as I mentioned, that Christy came in under, and it's our most popular option, mostly because people are busy, I think, and just because it's new to everyone, the whole publishing industry. So you can come in as a TP Rewards author, and that's through our subsidy publishing option. And that's for one payment of $5,999 or one deposit of $997 and 10 payments of $529. And so with this option, it includes everything that we have learned over the years that you're going to need for your book. And that is a very low price if you look at some of the competition, because this package includes all of the editing. Editing alone can run you $10,000, and we do pretty comprehensive editing. We do the content and grammar editing, and we all of our authors have been very pleased with that. It includes the editing. It includes the publicity, your personal publicist. It includes marketing. We develop a marketing campaign, and each marketing campaign is not a cookie-cutter marketing campaign. As you know, was the case with Christy, this was the first time we've done a fundraiser as the marketing campaign, but it's very appropriate for her book. So there's a lot of things you have to keep in mind when trying to sell your book. For example, with children's books, you want to make it appealing to the children, but they don't have the money. So, and since, Christy has a huge heart, we just have to find, people who's going to pay to distribute, what she has to offer. And in this case, we've decided to go with, corporate sponsors and to, like I said, to have a campaign during National Homelessness Awareness Week. And it also includes a customized website and a promotional pack and several other, pretty much, like I said, everything that we have come to learn that you're going to need to have a shot at, having a successful book. Okay, and then let's see, the last opportunity is something that's new this year. And, this is the first time we're doing it. It's actually a publishing class, okay? And this is going to be an online class, and it's going to give you the step-by-step instructions for how you can publish a marketable book, including publicity. And, again, this will be an online class, okay? All right, so with that, I'm going to jump into the details of the three publishing models as promised. And so of course, most people are familiar with self-publishing. Not a lot of people are familiar with subsidy publishing. And then there's the traditional publishing. So if you have a pen and paper or, laptop or tablet, you may want to jot down some of this information. And I guess I'll start by saying that there's a recent Forbes article that showed that the authors that make the most money usually utilize a hybrid of both traditional and self-publishing. And so subsidy publishing will fit into that hybrid category. And of those who actually self-publish, they say this article reported that only 20% of the self-published authors reported no income at all. Okay, so it depends on why you are publishing your book, but if you're publishing it for profit, you want to keep that in mind. Okay, and so with that, let's just talk about some of the things that you should consider when choosing your publishing model. The first thing that you should consider is ownership. Who owns the copyright? Okay, and so with the self-publishing model, of course, the author owns the copyright. With the subsidy publishing model, at least with TP Rewards, the author owns the copyright. With the traditional publishing model, the publishing company owns the copyright. Now, why is that important? Whoever has the copyright has the say over what can be done with the material in the book. If the publishing company owns the copyright, you have to ask their permission to develop anything that relates to the book, any material from the book. You can't print it without their permission. So the copyright, who owns the copyright, is important. Okay, and so like I said, with the self-publishing and the subsidy publishing, you maintain the copyright. The author would maintain the copyright. The second factor to consider is the control. How much control do you have over your book? Of course, with self-publishing, it's high. You have all the control you want as far as the content and how you want it to look and, so forth. Now, that may be good or bad depending on how much experience you have, with book publishing or the industry that fits your book. With subsidy publishing, it is moderate. I will say that with TP Rewards, the author does have a lot of control over the content, but TP Rewards definitely has some input as well. Our goal is to, we have some experience with the publishing industry, and we kind of have a good feel for what is going to sell and what's going to be effective type sell. So it's moderate. We work with the authors. And we usually agree on it. So with the traditional publishing, it's low. The publishing company has the final say. And so I'll say with TP Rewards, the subsidy publishing company also has the final say, but we try to work with the author as much as possible. We haven't had any problems at all. All of our authors have been pretty satisfied with the edits and the changes that we made, or the recommendations. Okay. And let's see, the author investment is something else you should consider with your publishing model. Of course, with the self-publishing, a lot of people tend to think it's a low author investment, but when you consider, so it may be a low author investment just to get the book printed, but when you consider some of the other services that are going to be needed, the publicity and the marketing and things like that, it's going to be very high. It's going to be, in the end, it's going to be high if that's the route that you're going to take. I remember when I was a self-published author, when I published my first book, I was looking to get represented by a publicist, and they were wanting to charge me $10,000. Okay. All right, which is much more than what TP Rewards charges for the entire package, including everything. Okay, and so the author investment, so for subsidy publishing, it's going to be moderate. Um, Again, for TP Rewards, it's about $6,000. For traditional publishing, it just depends as far as the author investment. You're going to need a proposal. So if you know how to do that, fine. And you're going to need an agent. But that's going to take, it may take some redoing and so forth. So it just depends. It could be low. It could be high, just depending on where your skill level is. Royalty rate, that's how much you make from each book that's sold. For self-publishing, it's going to be high. For subsidy publishing, I'll say it's high to moderate, just depending on how it's sold. And so for traditional publishing, it's going to be low. So for self-publishing and subsidy publishing, for books that are sold through, let's say, online on Amazon, it's usually around, maybe not Amazon, let's say Barnes & Noble's website. Let's say it's usually around 15% for both self and subsidy publishing. For traditional, it's the highest you're going to find is about 8%. And I think that's on the high end for traditional. So for the workload, but again, with subsidy, it just depends on how it's being sold. For workload, for self-publishing, it's going to be very high. You're going to have to do everything yourself or hire someone else to do it. Otherwise, it's still going to be high because you're going to hold the vision for your book on your own. So you have to be very dedicated. Subsidy publishing, I'm going to say it's moderate, the workload. Christy said that we made it really easy for her. I appreciate that. There may be something, that we ask her to do. For an example, we do ask our authors to come up with a list of potential organizations to work with, things like that. But then we do the follow-up in a lot of cases. So it's moderate. You're definitely not in it on your own, okay? And so then the workload for traditional publishing, and also I'll say even with the edit, it's moderate and it can be somewhat low because a lot of the times we do some of the rewrites for the author, okay? And so with the traditional publishing, it can be low to high. If you have an excellent manuscript, I guess it could be low, but usually the traditional publisher will have some edits to want you to make some edits. So in that case, it can be high. I guess the low part of it could be after it's published. They may provide some additional services, but it just depends. And then I guess the workload you have to consider with that also is just the time it's going to take to find an agent, to find a publishing company to accept your manuscript or your proposal. Okay, and so let's see, accessibility. Accessibility to the author. For self-publishing, it's high. Meaning the cost is less to buy your own books. Subsidy publishing, it's moderate, and then for traditional publishing, it's low. Okay, it's going to be more expensive to buy your books from the traditional publishing. Then comes credibility, and this comes into why you are your goal in publishing your book. So credibility. With self-publishing, it's going to be low. Okay? Like I said, the market has been saturated with self-published books, and a lot of them unfortunately have bad quality. And so you just want to be mindful of that when choosing, your publishing model. With subsidy publishing, I'm going to say it's moderate. It depends. Like with TP Rewards, we're selective of the titles. As I mentioned, we do turn down some titles, the ones that we don't think will fit in with our marketing strategy. And then for traditional publishing, of course, the credibility is high. Okay, and then the distribution is something else that authors a lot of times don't think about. For self-publishing, it's going to be low because, as I mentioned, I guess it can be a little moderate if you know the ins and outs of publishing, but most authors don't. But so distribution, if you go with like a Create Space or Author House or Zulon Press or something like that, it's low. Pretty much you're going to be able to get your books online, not in bookstores. So, and then like with Lisa's book, with Dr. Ramirez's book, I'm working with some book buyers who it would be very difficult for some of the self-publishing companies to work with them. So that's low. The distribution level is low, but still doable. It just depends on, your goal. For subsidy publishing, it's moderate. We're at TP Rewards, we're very flexible with the distribution. And for traditional publishing, it's high. It's high. Okay, and then the last thing that you want to consider is the time it's going to take that you have available to publish your book. So let's see. For self-publishing, I'm sorry, that's the turnaround time. The turnaround time. For self-publishing, it depends on you. It could be low to high if you're very focused. It could be a low turnaround time. If you go through TP Rewards with the self-publishing, we can have your book published within 90 days. So that's low. Even actually, so for subsidy publishing, it could be moderate. I put moderate. We've even had instances if the book is, doesn't need very many edits or doesn't. Chrissy's book had a lot of illustrations, so there's no way we could have really done that. But in that quick of time, but we have actually turned around some subsidy publishing books in 90 days as well. So it's moderate. It just depends on the book. And then for traditional publishing, it's high. It's usually a pretty lengthy publishing process with traditional book publishing. Okay. All right. And so let's see if there's anything else before we open it up for some questions. Just going back to the online class that we're offering, through that class, you will learn the business of book publishing as well as how to create a marketable book. You'll learn some cutting-edge tips and strategies in book publishing as well. This online course is for both authors and aspiring authors, and for those that's wanting to learn how to publish and market their book on their own. Okay, you'll learn about editing and book design, how to connect with your audience and write with conviction, how to publish your book on your own, which is what we just discussed. Be equipped with all the information you need to lead the class and publish a book on your own. You'll get some pointers on book marketing and book publicity. And as a bonus, for those who register for the class by the end of November, you'll also get a complimentary copy of my latest book, which is The PR Connection, and you'll also get 10% off of our Winter Publishing Institute. So that's $600 off of the subsidy package if your manuscript is accepted and you're offered an agreement, or that's $100 off of the Self-Publishing Institute, okay? And so I invite you to definitely attend the online class, and you will receive an email from me with the details on all three of these publishing opportunities. But the education is important. The more educated you are, the smoother your publishing process can be. And so with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. So if you have a question, let's see. Go *6, and that will put you in the Q&A queue. Okay, if you have a question, press *6, and that will place you in the Q&A queue so that I can unmute your phone. Okay. All right. Well, I see several of you on here, but I guess there's no questions. So I am going to just wrap up. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. You can go through the website, which is tp-rewards.com, or feel free to send me an email, which is tep@tp-rewards.com. Okay? All right. And so just some closing thoughts about publishing and whether or not this is the right time for you. I'll just say that this is, this publishing opportunity is for you, and you'll know it's the right time if you know it's the right time to share your message with the masses, and you just need a little help. This publishing opportunity is for you if you need a mentor and a guide to walk you through how to do that. I think that this opportunity is for you if you have the why. You just need to know how. So there are people waiting to read your book, and we can help you get those books in their hands. And through the TP Rewards Winter Publishing Institute, I will publish the book for you. I do believe in you, and it would be my honor and delight to work with you. And I hope to work with you through this Winter Publishing Institute. And remember to look out for an email from me concerning the online class opportunity, and feel free to contact me with any additional questions. And with that, I'll say good night. Thanks again.